Hello, my name's Allie. I'm going to be covering the article summary for gender dysphoria, specifically focusing on children and adolescents. Before you listen to this, just go back one slide and watch the link that I posted for a video for a individual that has struggled with gender dysmorphia throughout their life. I think it's really informative and could be very helpful to understand this condition a little bit better. So for my article summary, you're going to see the DOI link, you're going to see a link to the full article if you're interested in reading it more in depth, and then my link to the video, you've found it because you already clicked on it. So just some basic information that we gathered from the first part of the video, or not the video, I'm sorry, the article, is that expressing gender in an unconventional social way, it's not uncommon. We see all the time, especially before puberty, boys playing with dolls, girls loving to play in the mud, boys' favorite color being pink, having long hair, things like that that have become a lot more socially acceptable now than they were, say, 20 years ago. And this doesn't cause any sort of diagnostic criteria to meet the criteria for gender dysphoria. It becomes more criteria based when you go and take it a step further. So they found that some children are having a distressing amount of discomfort around the gender they were assigned at birth. So this could cause occupational struggles, educational struggles, and just overall self-esteem struggles. When this distress happens for a period over 6 months, that's when you can officially class it as gender dysphoria, as long as the other criteria for it are also met. The number of children that were referred to the gender clinics, which we will discuss soon as we get more into the article, are increasing every year across most countries. The study was done in the British Isles, but it does mention a lot of international numbers as well. So we can extrapolate the data to compare it to our country as well. Internationally, adolescents are more often transitioning from assigned male at birth to female. It doesn't offer an explanation as to why they think this is happening. This is kind of the first study of its kind. So it was really interesting, which we'll see in next slides, the difference between children and adolescents that are experiencing gender dysphoria and and how their transition looks. So I'm just going to put a little trigger warning right here for anyone. This article will discuss suicide risks and self-harm. So if that's something that's triggering to you, I invite you to just take a pause and kind of prepare yourself for it. Look ahead to see what slides they're on, and if possible, skip them if you need to. So those struggling with gender dysphoria after and during puberty are more likely to experience suicidal ideation because they are more likely to experience macro and microaggressions at school, at home, and in their community, a sense of social rejection of not being accepted, transphobia, and a lack of social supports and resources, sometimes including medical care and mental health care. So what is the study? Who's involved in it? How did they do it? So the population they targeted for this was children aged 4 to 15.9 years old. All of the children or adolescents that were in this article and part of the study had to have attended a second visit to a specialist gender service that they were provided to go to. So if they only went for the first one, they weren't eligible to participate in the study. The study was pretty simple. It was just a questionnaire that was given to obtain information about duration of symptoms, their home life, their family, their school, referral information, other mental health diagnoses, and other demographic information. And then the same questionnaire was sent out a year later after the secondary follow-up. So let me extend this a little bit. 1 second. Okay, so these are kind of the results. So the children they classified as anyone under the age of 12. So 63.2% of children that were in the study were assigned male at birth. And then in adolescents, which is over 12, 64.7 were assigned female at birth. So you can see they kind of switch as children grow into adolescence. More people that were assigned male are, experiencing gender dysmorphia to idealize being a female or wanting to become a female, and then in adolescence, it's the exact opposite. 94% of the participants were white, and 82.5% of the participants attended a mainstream school, with 47.4% experiencing significant bullying, and it's not in here, but a small percentage, about 10%, were actually homeschooled. Median range of participants were 9.5 years old, and 51% presented with pre-existing mental health conditions as well as developmental conditions, including autism. So what does all this mean, right? We had all this information about what kids and adolescents are going through, what gender, they are struggling with, what this looks like for them. So what does this mean moving forward? So distress is frequently present for a long time before gender dysphoria is diagnosed. So the problem with this is gender dysphoria is often not by itself. There's usually some anxiety condition that can either be developed from gender dysphoria or can contribute to gender dysphoria, some depression, some suicidal risk, some self-harm. So, social adversity and mental health difficulties may indicate a need to lower the threshold to facilitate earlier referrals for you struggling with gender dysphoria. Because if we get more research on this topic, it should be conducted to explain why there is such a delay between the first reported symptom of gender dysphoria and the subsequent referral, to see if any coexisting diagnosis can be either reduced or avoided if access to gender dysphoria support is gained earlier in their lives instead of waiting. So it's also going to go into the national web resources. These are all a little bit different. Some of one's a specific child link, one and the other two are just information about transgender in general, equality, government, research that's been conducted on it. It's important to note, and I didn't see it in my slide, but I know it's in here. 30, yeah, it's at the bottom of this one. I'm so sorry. I'm going to go pull this results back up. This information at the bottom is staggering to me, where it says that 36.5% of these kids and adolescents have previously engaged in some sort of self-harm behavior. Now, they haven't exactly pinned down what is causing the self-harm behavior, if it is the gender dysphoria or if it is anxiety or depression. But regardless of what it is, we're seeing this population hurting themselves, whether it's because of their own thoughts or thoughts from others. So getting ahead of gender dysphoria and kind of helping kids and adolescents through it to be able to understand themselves, or maybe even getting surgery or hormone replacement to make them feel more comfortable, could go a long way in reducing the risk of suicide or self-harm. Thank you for listening, and again, the full text for this article is linked in the previous slides.